Have you guys ever wondered why, when we get saved, why don't we instantly go to heaven? That'd make life so much easier. But you wouldn't believe what I read in the Bible today. So this morning I was going to do my usual video reading, but I woke up late. So after getting home from work, of course, I read my Bible as every good Christian should. But I decided to do things a little bit differently for my video, as I could tell my videos are just not keeping retention. So rather than reading my whole quiet time, I thought I would share the few things that really stood out to me today, and you wouldn't believe what I found out. So in Joshua chapter 5, the Israelites had finally made it through the Jordan River, but they now had to face the Canaanite kings and the Amorite kings.
Oh, no.
However, the good news was they were terrified of the Israelites after seeing them pass through the Jordan River.
Excellent.
But first, they had to circumcise all the Israelite men, which was a sign of them being God's chosen people, which hadn't been done for years and years and years.
You go first.
No, you go first.
And none of these men had been circumcised because all the generation before that had now passed away in the wilderness. But something really stood out to me here. In Joshua chapter 5, verse 6, the Bible reads, "The Israelites had traveled in the wilderness for 40 years until all the men who were old enough to fight in battle when they left Egypt had died. For they disobeyed the Lord, and the Lord vowed he would not let them enter the land he had sworn to give us, a land flowing with milk and honey." Doing my research, it became clear that the journey that Israel had taken from Egypt to get to this new promised land should have only taken 11 days. But it actually took 40 years. Why, when God was the one who was leading them through the desert, did it take 40 years when it could have just taken 11 days? But then it occurred to me, maybe the people who were amongst these Israelites who were saying, "I will obey the Lord my God," were just saying it because all their friends were saying it. They'd just been set free from Egypt and they just wanted to be accepted. But God knew, and God saw in their heart that given a bit of time, given a little bit of space, these people are going to quickly start disobeying me, going back to their old lives, start worshipping new gods and new things that might start turning up their way, or going back to the old gods that they used to worship. And we know, those of us who read our Bibles, that this is what happened. The Israelites who were in the desert quickly started complaining about how their lives were better before. They started turning to these gods, these idols. They started marrying all the Canaanite women and all the foreign women instead of marrying the Israelites as they were told to do. And God became angry and their true hearts got revealed. Because what is interesting is this can be a representation of our lives today as saved Christians who go from their enslavement in Egypt, where they were enslaved by their sins. They go through the waters of baptism, being led by Moses, who is a physical representation of Christ that we have today, but then they don't instantly make it to the promised land. It says a land flowing with milk and honey. Doesn't that sound like heaven? A peaceful land where things are beautiful and taste great and there's just all this wonderfulness. That is the promised land that we are waiting for. But we don't instantly come out of the waters and then we're in heaven. We have years upon years to live as these Christians in the world that we are living in today. And we need to stay the obedient Christians who are following the word of Christ, the things that he has told us to do. And there's many things that he has told us to do. And I think that God knew that during those 40 years, during the time that we've been given, that many of us, our faith will be shown for what it is, that we don't really want to follow the Bible, that we don't really believe in God as we said we did once we first got saved. Because perhaps it was just because our friends go to this church, perhaps the pastor was really inspiring and said some incredible sermons, perhaps we just wanted to be accepted and this was a community that accepted us, but we haven't really accepted the truth of God in our hearts. And much like the Israelites then, when we get the opportunity, a bit of time, a bit of space, we're going to start grumbling and complaining about this Christian life. Perhaps we're not even going to grumble and complain and just stop obeying the laws, or start compromising and say, actually, yeah, I believe in God, but I don't follow all these laws. I don't give my life to Christ. I don't do everything I can for Him and to obey His word because I don't really need to. And that isn't a heart for God. And I think God knew, let's just give them a bit of space and we'll see where their faith really is. So how does this apply to us? You've got to ask yourself the question, am I truly sold out for God? Is my heart fully in this? Am I going to be someone who's going to turn away in a few years' time because my faith is in my friends, my faith is in my family, or do I love God with all my heart, mind, soul, and strength, and I'm going to do everything I can? I'm willing to change every area of my life, no matter what comes my way, because I love God. So I challenge you guys, sit down and think, what areas of my life am I doing this because perhaps my parents raised me in it? It's really the group that I've been the most accepted by. Like, where do you not believe in God yourself? Where do you not have your own faith? And you've got to sit down with that. Either find scriptures that is going to give you faith, either sit down and pray with all your heart, or just get over it. I don't know what else to say. So that is our reading for today. I hope you found that insightful or helpful. And if you did, please let me know. Share what you got from Joshua chapter 5 if you have read it. And I will see you in the next one.